Hello,
Okay.
guys. Welcome back.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, we had a little technical issue figuring out YouTube Live. Thank you for being with us today. Today, we are going to talk about net worth. So what is net worth? How do you calculate it? How do you define what is rich in life? And a few stories around that. Right,
Yeah,
Yasu?
yeah. So my first question to you is, how do you define if a person is wealthy or not?
Okay, yeah, well, that's the very difficult part, right? If you see someone walking down the street with a very expensive suit, designer clothes, or whatever, you may think this person is wealthy, and you will think, yeah, that's it. I also want to be like that. But they actually might be people that just spend a lot of money for appearing wealthy, but they don't have anything saved. So there is a very fine line and between appearing wealthy and actually being wealthy. Very often you can see that the millionaires, they don't really dress too fancy or they don't drive the fancy cars, but the other people, again, they may want to appear wealthy and rich. They will spend a lot of money and effort to appear like that. So it's a very fine line, and it's not so easy to just tell the difference from a first look.
Yeah, so what you mean is that from the materialistic stuff people own, that you can really tell if they are wealthy or not. So that's why we talk about this net worth, right?
Yeah, correct. Because net worth is basically what you own minus your liabilities. It's not what you show to the outside world per se, because you could have a lot of assets, but you can walk around in a t-shirt. In Taiwan, I used to know a very wealthy person walking around in his like underwear, tea tank shirt, meeting bankers. He was very, very wealthy, but if you see him on the street, you wouldn't know. And on the other side, you have the guy that probably is leasing a Lamborghini or a Ferrari to appear wealthy, but he may be like in huge debt, and you will never know until you see his finances.
Why is it so important to have net worth? I mean, to have wealth rather than have a rich life.
Okay, having a rich life per se is not bad. It's enjoying life. But if you enjoy it to the extent that you don't put anything aside, you will not move forward in life. And therefore, you are like trapped. So salary and receiving a monthly paycheck is not really what makes you rich. What makes you really rich is how much of that salary you manage to put aside and later buy assets with that. And with assets, I mean things that most actually hopefully should appreciate in value and should create like income streams for you going forward. And therefore, if you simply live a rich life by splurging and spending everything, you will always be trapped in the month by month salary trap, the rat race, so to say. So you will not be able to pick up and build wealth.
And then why is it important to build wealth?
Because otherwise you will be selling your time for the rest of your life. If you don't have wealth, that's what you're going to do. You're going to work until you die. And if you want to have a difference or a choice in life, then you rather have to prepare something on the side. And then you have more options in life. You have a richer life in terms of options, but maybe not in what you enjoy and consume.
So what you consume is they will be gone because you are consuming them. But what you are building, your net worth, will become an asset in the future that provides you more options. Is that what you mean?
Yes, correct. Like consumption is you buy something, you eat it, it's gone. But investing is the other thing. You buy something that stays there, appreciates, and works for you on your side. That's the difference. So you have to know when you buy a car, a sports car, let's say it costs you $100,000, but probably it will last you 5-6 years. You have to depreciate that in value. The value will go down. The moment you drive off the garage, the first time you buy it from the dealer, it will drop in value by like 20-30%. If you want to sell it the next day to someone else because it's a used car, it will never have that initial value. So the value will go down, 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 down until it reaches zero. But if you buy something like a share or ownership at other things that actually help you build wealth, then that's a different story. Then the value should go up without your further input. You don't have to sell time to add value to that. And the more you adjust your behavior to do the second versus the first, the wealthier you will be.
Okay. And can you give us some interesting examples comparing someone is living a rich life and someone is building up a net worth?
Oh, yeah, well, examples are plenty. I mentioned some people that probably will just go 5-star hoteling, business class travel all the time without points. I love business class travel, but I use credit card points. Things like that without actually being able to afford it as such. And basically money comes in and goes out and that's it. And then by the end of the month, they don't know what's left. And the wealthy person probably will, whenever they receive the salary, they will put something aside. So they will take a part of that and buy some assets and let the assets work for him or her going forward, and then use the rest. So there's that's called paying yourself first. If you start to do that, you create a very healthy habit of wealth building.
Okay, and you mentioned that having a car might not necessarily be an asset. So what is the difference between assets and liabilities?
Okay, liabilities are things that Robert Kiyosaki said that once very nicely. Assets are what puts money in your pocket. Liabilities are what takes money out of your pocket. So if you think of it, even your house could be a liability. It's something very special, because if you look at a big expensive house, you have to fix it, you have to maintain it, you have to pay taxes on it. There could be a lot of costs involved by holding a house. And therefore, a house can be both asset or liability. If you have the same house and you rent it out, somebody pays the rent to you, then it starts to become an asset because you get paid for holding the asset. Or if you think you have like the ability, the holding power, and go for the appreciation, then it could also fall into the asset category rather than the expenses and liability category. A liability, of course, is also like your debt, student loan debt, credit card debt, mortgage. So you have to know what you owe to others. So that's another concept to look at liabilities, what you are short on some side. It's like a balance sheet. And assets is what you own. And then the difference between the assets and the liabilities, that will be your net worth. Maybe we introduce the net worth at this point.
Yeah, so next question then will be like how people calculate their current net worth, and how much would it be reasonable based on their age?
Based on their age, it's hard. I think also here you should not be generalizing. There's a very nice book, The Millionaire Next Door, which actually puts a number to what you should have saved at a certain age. And they also look at your earning power. So it really depends how much money you earn and what is your circumstances. But therefore, there's no right or wrong answer to what is the right number. First that. But how to do it, you look at how much potential you would have, and if you have a higher salary, it's simply easier for someone to build a higher net worth faster. But if you have a lower salary, it doesn't mean you cannot get there. It's just a question of how much you save.
But it could also be like someone have a very high salary, but the person is spending a lot, and
Yes.
at the end, the person actually has a lower net worth than the person who has a lower salary, who saves a lot.
Correct. That happens very often, actually. There's people who work very, very hard. They are smart people, get paid well, and then they have this conception that they deserve a better life, right? And then they start to splurge here, splurge there. And the other thing is people around them are doing the same sometimes. So it's hard if you're in that bracket to be different, because if you're the same like the others, you will get the same results. And then everybody will appear rich, will appear wealthy, driving the nice car, going to the good restaurants, talking to each other about the very nice vacations, which is all nice and fun. But then at the end, yeah, maybe they didn't save money, and then the net worth couldn't be really there where it seems to be.
And also you were in wealth management. So I think you guys also define wealth management, define a client by its net worth, right? Not income.
Correct. Yeah. No. Income. Actually, when you work in wealth management, you meet millionaires all the time. So I met a lot of them. Very grateful for that. I learned a lot from them. And the interesting thing is, every time you get money in from a client into your wealth management account, you have to tell the bank how this money was built, how this wealth was built. And so the clients have to tell you their story, their background story. And there is out of 100, there's maybe less than 10 that always just had a 9-to-5 salary job, and the rest are usually entrepreneurs, or they're in special functions, built their own businesses, or inherited some money. Of course, that one also exists. But usually there, you will see that each and every of these persons at some point in time made a decision to turn life around and to build wealth, unless it's for the inheritance part. Which just against the misconception is that most people inherit their money. It's not most. It's a minority, because once people inherit a lot, it's very hard for some to manage it if you haven't experienced or built it up yourself.
And earlier you mentioned the book Millionaire Next Door. I'm reading it right now. I find it's very interesting because in the book, they gave us a simple formula to calculate how much your net worth should be by your age and your income. And the formula is, so for the audience, you can do a simple calculation yourself. So it's your age times your annual income, then divided by 10. I think that's the formula. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. So you can do a quick calculation. So your age times your annual income divided by 10. If that should be around the net worth you should have based on your age. But as you said, it also depends on individual situation. When people move to different countries, their earning power also changes. Yeah.
So let's take an example by this. So you're 40 years old, you earn 100,000 per year. What should be your net worth? This age, and then
so 40 years old.
Yeah.
Let me type in the comment.
That's a very good question. Jeffrey here has asked advice for somebody building up their net worth. Where can they start? How to start? Yeah, 40 years. 100. So how to start is simply make use of what you have at the moment. So start with where you are. Don't compare too much to others that may be ahead of you. Focus on yourself. Everyone is at a different point in this. It's not a race. And start, probably the very first thing is, I could also talk for hours on that, is to save. And saving, the easiest, the quickest is you spend less. So control your expenses. Then the step 2, very quickly after that, will be to increase your income. So work on increasing your income. And the third one, once you have a bigger gap between expenses and income, you start to invest that into ETFs, other assets. If you can buy a house at some places with government support, put it there, let time do the rest. So, but the start is usually use what you have, lower your expenses, increase your income, invest. Yeah. In this order. Yeah. Sorry. So net worth should be 400,000, right?
Yeah, so
40 years old, 100K per year.
Okay, so we will not ask the audience to share if they are there or not. So it's just a rule of thumb, simple calculation, and it helps you to evaluate if you're under or above. And my next question regarding net worth is that how do you really differentiate assets and liability? Although I asked before, but can you give us a list of things that when we do calculation, for example, apartments, it's supposed to be assets, but we also have loan on it. So how we calculate this?
Okay, very important. So I take a stupid example. They are the best. Let's say you buy a sofa, and it's a very good sofa. You spend 20,000 on your sofa, but this sofa, you don't put it in your assets with 20,000, because if you sell it tomorrow, nobody will give you that 20,000. Same with the new car. So first, put in the resale value, or the market value, so to say. So if you look at the car, you can compare what others are paying at the moment for this car according to the age, and like if the car is 10 years old, has 200,000 mileage on it, how much value is that? So you can find the market value. And for the house, the same thing. You have to look what is the market value. For shares and other securities is very easy, because that one is something that the market has decided for you. There, it's really mark to market. That's another expression here. Mark to market means it's a market value. And for other things, you have to figure out the selling value. And then, of course, if you have a house with a mortgage, you have to deduct the mortgage. So some people, they have this misconception and say, oh, because I have a debt on my house I don't count as my net worth. But let's say your house is worth 500,000, you have 200,000 mortgage, and you know the 500,000 is market value of the house, then you have a 300,000 equity in this house. That means the 300,000 is yours, but the 200,000 is the bank's out of the 500,000 of the house. So it's like, always see the different components. So cars, we talked about it, furniture. Some people have very expensive electronics in their house. It really depends. Like, don't just put it at the purchasing price. The other thing there to mention is you have assets that appreciate and you have assets that depreciate. So if you have a very nice painting, some artwork, it actually may go up in value over time. But if you have some furniture, it usually goes down. So unless it's antique. So there's like always the question, what is it exactly? And if you want to calculate your net worth, you make a table, and then you line up all the things you own at their selling value or market value. And on the other side, you have the liabilities, and you actually line down all your liabilities, your debt, all the outstanding amounts that you owe to someone. And the difference between assets and liabilities will be your net worth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And also, I'm putting this free net worth calculator template in the chat. So you guys can download this Excel sheet. Then you can input the value of your liability and assets yourself. Then it will calculate what is your net worth now.
Mm-hmm. Also, yeah, net worth is a major indicator of financial health, so to say. So it's like when you have a speedometer or the odometer of a car, how far have you come in life? And of course, it's not a competition, but it's a number that very quickly can tell you where you stand. So if you learn how to calculate that, the great other thing is you will learn what to measure in your life. And if you look at your net worth as the thing you measure, you will automatically adjust your behavior. I tell you, the moment you do that, and that's very interesting because we are coming to the end of this year. For the new year, if you start to have this as a habit, to look at everything you do financially, what kind of impact does it have in your net worth? There's also like, what impact do you have right now? What impact you have in 5 minutes, in 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, maybe a year or 10 years. So you have, if you buy something for instant gratification, you may be happy for 5 minutes, and then your happiness level drops back to where it was before. Money is gone, right? But if you buy something that maybe provides you with happiness for 10 years, you can have a different look at that. But then once you calculate the things over 10 years with purchasing decisions, you will see how things compound and accumulate. And that's where the magic will start to happen. So judge your habits and see the impact on your net worth.
Yeah, and also in this file, which you can download from the link, that you can actually use it to track month to month. Then you will see if your net worth is growing or is declining. So hopefully it's growing next year in 2021.
Yeah, it's like a GPS, a financial GPS. You will know where you stand and you can mark down and you see your moves.
Yeah. It's one single important parameter to track your wealth. And we hope this Excel will help many of you there to achieve an upward trending line in 2021.
And of course, yeah, a lot of people are living rich but dying broke. Just want to say this. It's like, yeah, I mentioned before, they splurge, 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 and they waste money. Don't put it to work. So the big question you have to ask yourself also with habits, New Year resolutions is maybe if you want to get wealthy, are you willing to give up the things that keep you poor? And that could be a very interesting question. What does keep you poor? And maybe once you start tracking, budgeting in a way, your net worth, you will realize that some of your habits are the things that keep you poor. Because of that, you cannot build wealth. So it's very good to look into the details there.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Just a question to the audience here. How many of you have already been tracking your net worth? Let me see if someone makes some comments or it's a silent room.
Usually it's not so usual that people do track it. But I believe this is like human nature. The moment you start tracking, then you will get better. We as human beings, we focus on what we measure. And if with anything like at your job, you may have a KPI, a key performance indicator. If you know this is important, then you're gonna find out, oh, Jeffrey has been tracking for 3 years. Congrats.
Wow. So question to Jeffrey, do you see that it's helping you to build up your wealth over the years by tracking it? Do you see like a positive impact? How many years have you been tracking your net worth, Matthias?
Oh, I started actually in the 1990s. It's more than 20 years now. Mm-hmm. I started to do an Excel very long ago, and I'm happy I've done it because I started to. Oh, Jeffrey, he does it once a year with a target. Correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also do a target. So if you do it with a target, it's quite interesting. You see that at that point in time, where are you? And okay, sometimes I hit the target, but sometimes I don't.
If you have a high target,
yeah, that's good. Always give yourself a higher target, because the problem with low targets, you know what is the big problem with low targets? You may actually achieve them way too easy, and then you give up on the rest. If you, oh, hi, Bill. Bill says hi, nice hat. This is Bill's hat from the Financial Literacy Project. Mm-hmm. He has a great Facebook group you guys should check out for financial literacy. Hi to Tennessee. So, yeah, where were we? Now I'm a little bit out of my
target.
The target, yes. So the target, don't aim too low, you may actually achieve. And if you hit high and you get there by 80%, well, guess what? A lot of people don't set a target. They don't even try. You're way above average already. If you set the target and try, you're doing way better than the rest. I'm most certain of that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah,
if you have listened to my podcast second episode with Matthias, then you might have heard about his Excel, which is 20 years Excel for credit card points and net worth.
I also give myself targets, and sometimes I also achieve the targets, sometimes not. I think my worst years were 2008-9, around there, but there were great surprising years like right after that, 2009, 10, 11, which did awesomely well. You see, it's a little bit linked to the stock market performance, but if you track it, you keep targets, you can actually unlock another thing that is very magical. You actually motivate yourself. A lot of people, if they have no clue about money, they don't know where they stand, they don't see progress, and therefore they are not motivated because they don't know what's going on. But if you track it, you trace it, you write it down, you have targets, you see where you are, if you actually get on the right path, you will be motivated and you will stay the path and you will grow. So that's why net worth, understanding the net worth, understanding what our assets and liabilities are so crucial, and then give yourself targets. Especially now as the year comes to an end, look at your money, wrap it up, see where you stand, and then think. I don't know if you have been doing that for a while, you may know how much capacity you have to build more wealth. But if you're just getting started, just give yourself a goal and start tracking. Maybe you do it a little bit more often if you're new to that. If you do it on a monthly basis, for instance, you can see when your salary comes in, how much you keep on the side. Yeah, Bill says here, training for marathon, correct? So you have like little goals in between and you will get better. Once you start doing that, you're building habits and you will get better.
Indeed. I think this is a habit that is quite important. Most people should start doing it. But net worth is still quite a new concept to many people, unfortunately. So hopefully day after day, more and more will get to know this concept and start to build up wealth. So buy the things that is helping with your net worth, not keeping you poor.
Yes. And maybe to close this session, we're almost like half an hour in. Thank you for your time. One thing is, it's not always how it seems. Like, so I have this here. Some people may have seen this before. This is a real $100 trillion bill from Zimbabwe. And you see here, promise to pay the bearer on demand. He even signed here, the guy, Dr. G. Gono, the governor. This is appearing rich, looking rich, but you cannot buy a lot with that. You cannot. So this is like your Lamborghini. This is your super Mac mansion, they call it. This is your big thing that looks rich, but it's actually worth nothing. And that's why putting these things into perspective, it will help you.
Yeah. Marcel Sander laughing.
Marcel is laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. But nowadays with social media and for the internet, it's so difficult to avoid lifestyle inflation.
Yeah. If you look on Facebook, you have to just be aware that what you see is the highlight reel of other people's lives. Bill wanted $1 trillion too. I've got 100 trillion.
Yeah, it's not just a trillion, it's 100 trillion.
I cannot just give you one. I'm sorry. Did you ever hear the word centatrillionaire? So I'm maybe the first centatrillionaire you've ever seen in your life. Okay, just kidding. Yeah, so this is crucial. And as we come to this year end, our next session next week, so we're going to talk about financial goals and how to achieve them in the new year. So today, in 1 week's time, we're going to continue this talk and show you how in the new year you can actually put this to work.
Yeah.
So we will continue there.
Step by step. So today we introduce you the concept of net worth. So hopefully some of you will start tracking.
Hopefully all of you.
Yeah, hopefully all of you start to calculate what is your net worth and track it. And the next session on Wednesday, same time, we will talk about how to achieve your financial goals in 2021. So then you can have a good start in the new year. And then the session afterwards, we will start to introduce new topics a little bit by little bit about personal finance and then help you to achieve your financial goals.
Correct. Cheers. I can finally upgrade my Excel spreadsheet. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you've been waiting the whole year, right, Jeffrey?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for joining us today. Very much looking forward to having you next session as well on Wednesday at the same time.
have a wonderful holiday season. Merry Christmas to the ones that celebrate. And yeah, see you next week.
Yeah, and the next year we keep following our channel, and we will help you fast track your finance.
Oh yeah, and Bill just wrote in the comments, please check out Financial Literacy Project on Facebook to continue the conversation. So there we share a lot of open ideas. It's a place to meet and greet, and a lot of great there. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye, guys. Thank you for joining.